What's going on everyone, you're back with your boy Jono for another quick math lesson. Today we're going to look at how to expand brackets when these questions get a little bit harder. Specifically, we're going to look at negative numbers out the front and we're going to look at pronumerals. Again, we've already learnt the skills to smash this topic, but these questions are just having a look at the most common mistakes that students make. So all we need to remember from last lesson is that we have to take the outside term and multiply it with absolutely everything inside the brackets. Again, I like to use those arrows to make sure that we know that we're multiplying everything, but the actual maths is not too difficult. For this example, we've got 3 bracket 2x plus 5, so the 3 multiplies by the 2x, and then the 3 multiplies with the 5. This just becomes 6x plus 15. Again, double check that that last number changes because that is the most common mistake students make when doing these easy expansions. So a little secret in maths teaching is that the teacher needs a way to trick you sometimes because we can't get everybody having 100%, otherwise the test wasn't hard enough. And the way that we try to trick you is by using a negative number. Anytime you see a negative number in algebra specifically, assume that your teacher is trying to trick you and don't let your teacher get the better of you. When you see a negative number, slow down and make sure that you're multiplying everything with that negative that needs to be multiplied. For expanding brackets, we need to make sure that we multiply everything inside the brackets by a negative term if there is a negative number out the front. So if we look at almost the exact same question, we've got negative 3 multiplied by 2x plus 5. Students are really good at the first one. Negative 3 times by 2x is equal to negative 6x. Great. But sometimes we forget to use that negative number for the second term in the brackets. This is negative 3 multiplied by 5, which is negative 15. So our final answer is negative 6 minus 15, not plus. This is something that we look at straight away to determine whether you're going to get 100% or you're going to get 90%. It's an easy way for us to see which students have a full understanding of this topic. A little bit of a pro tip is that multiplying by a negative switches the sign. So if you've got a positive number and it's multiplied by a negative term out the front, that number has to become negative. But if you've got a negative number multiplied by the negative number out the front, it's going to become positive. So the answer has to switch signs if there is a negative term out the front. So if I've got negative 8 multiplied by negative 3x plus 2, I've got to make sure that negative is multiplied by both terms. So negative 8 multiplied by negative 3x, the term has to change, so this is going to be a positive number, specifically positive 24x. We just write 24x, no need to put the plus, but 24x is our first term. Now we've got negative 8 multiplied by positive 2, which becomes negative 16. So our final answer is 24x minus 16. See that the first negative term switched to positive and the second positive term switched to negative. That always happens when we've got a negative term out the front. There is a switch in signs. So you're probably thinking this is pretty easy, but it gets a little bit trickier when we've got 2 brackets happening at the same time. This is where absolutely smashing that negative knowledge is really important. Again, this is another way that we can tell who's 100% on top of it and who needs a little bit of extra help. So you might get something like this and you're told to simplify it. We've got the first one, 4 bracket 2x plus 5, and then the second one, which is negative 3 multiplied by x minus 8. The way that I approach these is to treat them like 2 different expanding questions that just happen to be jammed together. I even like to write them out twice in 2 different colors. So I'm going to rewrite this as 4 bracket 2x plus 5, all in black. That's my first bit of information. Then I've got to do the second part, which is negative 3 bracket x minus 8, which I'm going to write in blue. What's really easy to see here is now that it is a negative 3. It's not just 3, it's a negative 3, and that's what has to get multiplied to both terms. So I'm just going to do the 4 first. So 4 multiplied by 2x plus 5 takes us to 8x plus 20, which is just like a standard expansion. And now here is where we're trying to trick you. We've got negative 3 multiplied by x and negative 3 multiplied by 8. So this becomes negative 3x plus 24. That plus there, that plus 24, is 100% the most common mistake students make. So please don't be someone that falls for it because it's designed to trick you. Make your maths teacher give you the marks you deserve. So these types of questions always need some simplification at the end because there are 2 brackets. So we've got 8x minus 3x, which is 5x, and then 20 plus 24, which is equal to 44. This is our final answer, both brackets expanded and then simplified. I straight away usually look for the last number or the constant term at the end to see if my students have taken that negative into account. So please double check as you go that you've used that negative correctly. The only other way that these questions can get even a little bit harder is by using a pronumeral out the front or a letter out the front. This actually makes it easier mathematically because you don't have to do as much kind of calculations, but you do need to just see it first so it doesn't trick you in a test to getting something wrong. So this here, I've got x and then 2x plus 3 in the brackets, and the same thing occurs. That term out the front multiplies by the 2x and it multiplies by the 3. So my final answer is just 2x squared plus 3x. This is fully simplified, you don't have to do any more work, which is actually easier than doing any multiplication. Then if I've got 6a multiplied by negative 2 plus a, the 6a is multiplied by the negative 2, which is negative 12a, and then 6a times a is just 6a squared. That's done. So here we've got two brackets, pronumerals out the front and a negative in the middle. This is all the stuff we've been looking out for. Again, I'm going to take the opportunity to write it in two different colors, the first bracket and the second bracket, just to make sure that I watch out for that negative sign. So I'm just going to do the black terms first. So I've got 2a multiplied by 4 plus 3a. So this is 8a plus 6a squared, and that's that first section done. Then I've got to make sure I'm taking account for that negative 7a. Negative 7a multiplied by negative 2a plus 3. The negatives cancel out for that first one, so I've got plus 14a squared, and then the negative multiplies with the second term, which is really important, so I've got negative 21a. Again, I've got to collect my like terms. I've got 8a and negative 21a, so this becomes negative 13a, plus 20a because the other two are both positive. This is kind of the hardest type of questions you can get for expanding brackets before we get to fractions, so please just make sure you're not getting tricked by that negative number. The negative has to multiply by both terms, even when there are two brackets. Thanks so much for watching this lesson, and I'll see you later.